Hello, everybody. My name is Bang, and I am the Senior Manager Partner Success of Acumen Vietnam. And today is going to be the second episode of our mini-series about the market trends of Southeast Asia. And this episode is broadcasting from Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. And today with me, the two ladies, we're going to talk from the outsider looking into the region. So obviously, may I introduce to you Ms. Marnie Watson, Chief Commercial Officer of Acumen. And on this side, that is Cecilia Pereira-Yates, our Director, Partner Success in UK. So thank you for being here with me today. So maybe I will leave the floor to you both to give a quick introduction about yourself.
Yes, I am Chief Commercial and Partnerships Officer with Acumen. I have been with the company for 3 years now, but I've got a long history in international education. So 27 years in international education and 23 of those years living in Southeast Asia, which means I am very passionate about being here in Ho Chi Minh City with you. I love a bit of Malaysia and Indonesia and Singapore, and the entire region is a very special part of both my heart, but also our international education sector.
Yeah. And of course, plus 11 years you are in Vietnam as well. So that's going to be, a top-notch understanding about the market. So over to you, Cecilia.
Well, I'm originally from Malaysia. This is approaching my 30th year in the international education sector. I've kind of reversed from Marnie, so I've lived almost more than half my life in the UK, but really flying the flag for Southeast Asia international education.
Wow. So as you can see, I am having very experienced expert on the two sides of me. So you can see at some point, I'm really nervous at the moment. So I think, of course, we're going to talk about how international institution or international partner look into the region. And obviously, you can easily read those comments from our publications. But having expert talking is always good. So I will start with maybe the first question of the day is, how do you view the Southeast Asia region from the view of international partner or international institutions? Maybe Marnie, I will start with you first.
Sure. It's obviously an incredibly important diversification market for international education organizations. Yeah. If you consider the geography, wow. Maximum 3 hours between countries. You've got 10 very diverse, very different countries in the Southeast Asia region. And then the demographics are a very powerful story. 168 million 0 to 14-year-olds live in Southeast Asia. 75% of them are in Indonesia, Vietnam, and Philippines. So if you just consider the geographic combined with the demographics, it means that it is a region that cannot be ignored. And as I said already, it brings that beautiful diversification opportunity in terms of being very, very different across the region.
All right. Thank you, Marnie. So, Marnie mentioned about the world diversification of market. How do you view on that?
I think it's absolutely spot on. Most institutions have traditionally looked at countries like China. They've looked at West Africa. These are quite risky markets as well. And we've seen, with the latest changes with immigration rules, the pandemic has caused lots of challenges in traditional markets, such as those. Southeast Asia offers opportunities for universities to minimize risk. And I think going back to Marnie's point about the demographics, that's where, you can actually get cream of the crop. You can get really good students who have got the passion and the desire to want to excel and come back to the region to give back. So employability-wise, they're not necessarily looking to stay where they go to study, but actually to come back and add value.
Right. I really like when you mentioned about the fact that students, when they graduated, they should come back and continue and put the values that they receive from the international experience coming back to their own countries, or even, in general, the region. But I want to follow up a little bit with you, is that with that in mind, with all the diversification, all of the things that of the region can offer, what's going to be the most important key takeaway if they want to, let's say, invest or enter the region?
The students, you mean, to come back?
For the universities?
I think it's really important for universities to understand why students want to go overseas to study. So when they understand the reason, then they can position themselves and they can develop products that they know will help the students when they return. So, for example, it's really important to engage with what different governments' strategy is, what are their priorities, and that will then inform universities in their program development. That then makes them much more attractive for the parents and the governments to send students overseas to study, because they know that they're returning to help nation building.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. How about you, Marnie? Like, what could be the key takeaways from the international institution, or, when you go and talk to our partners over across the world, what would be your saying to them in terms of that?
I think maybe just to riff off C's point, when you consider these times and what's happening and the government needs, you can see that playing out, just as an example, in transnational education. So yes, this is an incredible source market for students to go and study abroad, but it's also a very powerful transnational education market. And you can see the desire, just use Vietnam and Indonesia as two examples, the change in regulation, the government regulation, in terms of making it easier to operate in a transnational education context in these two countries. You add to that the strength of T&E in Singapore and Malaysia already. It just means there's a story around student recruitment outbound, but there's also a story around inbound opportunities that need to be well understood. And when you also add to that there are 16 of the top 200 universities in the world, for those who want to believe in rankings, but bear with me, 16 of the top 200 are in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
So that is a big one in Asia. And so that's a really important partnership consideration for universities as well.
Right. So I think that when the two ladies here mentioned about the government policy, and I can say that is a crucial point when we look into this region as well, because you can see that we have this 2024 going to be a big year across the region, right? We have Indonesian elections, Vietnam also having their parliament, and also the change in Cambodia as well in terms of the prime minister. So there is will going up, follow up with a lot of policy change. So I think then, if with that in mind, when you go into when you go and talk to an international institution or even the partners, what's going to be the number one tips that you will give them to engage with the region? Maybe I will continue with you.
This is it's a relationship market. It's a relationship environment.
Yeah.
And so what that means is that it's really important to understand that flying in, flying out, that sort of dropping in 4 times a year, 6 times a year, you're not going to have the sort of impact that you might want to have. A relationship market means having people on the ground constantly engaging and building those relationships. And whether that's with parents and students, with government, with institutions, I think that would be my number one tip, is really understand that relationships are key. Diversity.
Right.
Do not think that just because I made the geographic point of places are very close to each other, that there is an incredible cultural economic business diversity across this region and expectations would be my second. And my third?
Yes, please.
It is very increasingly sophisticated. So again, don't underestimate the dynamism of the region and the need to move and adapt to that and respect the sophistication that's going on.
All right.
Sorry.
So, see, you can give three.
No, I think I'll just add to what Marnie said.
Yeah.
So an extension to that relationship market, this is very much around building of trust. And so part of that relationship is having a commitment to the market. So again, going back to what Marnie said, flying in, flying out, 4 visits a year, you're not visible and you're not consistent. So the things to think about is being consistent, being visible, being very present as well, and then utilizing those to develop that sense of trust. And I think, and on top of that, the other layer to that is Southeast Asia is such a rich region, and there's so much that we can learn from Southeast Asia. It's not just Southeast Asia and learning from others. And I think coming in with a spirit and an openness to know that just as much as we want to take Southeast Asia to Australia, New Zealand, the UK, the US, we also should learn, and it's a real opportunity for us to embrace.
Right. A very interesting point.
I could comment to that point, actually. It's such a profound point. And I think an example of that is if you look at and Bang, you would know this better than I do, but if you look at the top 5 destination markets for Vietnamese students' number 1 destination is Japan. No, for study abroad. Number 2 is Korea. Only then do you get the US, Canada, Australia. And so I think that whole understanding that there is an incredible ecosystem going on here in Asia is really important.
Yeah, great. And I think to finish up, I always like to ask my favorite question every time I'm the moderator to the panelists is, if you have one word to tell to the audience, what would it be and why?
The first word that comes to mind is respect. I think it's about respecting the countries that we engage with, respecting the culture, and respecting the value that parents put and governments put into the investment that they're making for international education.
Right.
My one word would be partnership. So when you think about a partnership, that is a two-way flow of communication, of mutual benefit, of trust, of working together. So that's that partnership.
And I think my one word will be consistency.
Consistency. Nice.
So if we combine, we can see that in order to be success in the region, you need to respect the culture, respect the perspective from the region, consistently reviewing it, and consistently present in the market.
Yeah.
And of course, then you can start partnering with the region. So with that in mind, I would like to finish up this the second episode of our mini-series from Acumen. And obviously, don't forget to subscribe and download our digital version from our website. And thank you for following us today.
Thanks,
Thank you, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you.